Hey there, this is Therese Skelly, and I am so excited that you are going to be listening to an episode of the Fiercely Brilliant podcast. Do you like those two words? Fiercely Brilliant. My hypothesis is that you are here for a reason. We all are. Our souls have led us on journeys that have very often taken some twists and turns, and sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes there's struggle and there's loss and there's challenge, and in the middle of that, there's always a way out. And it's those times that often lead us into our great life and work. So you're going to hear stories in these episodes of myself and other beautiful people that share the journey. They share how they got to the place where they're standing, working in their brilliance, and being the powerful leaders that they are. So stay tuned and enjoy this episode. Hey, this is Therese, and this is another episode of the Fiercely Brilliant podcast, where I bring on amazing people to talk about how the hell do you show up being fiercely brilliant if maybe sometimes life has kicked you in the head. I don't know if that's your story. It sure has been mine. And so today I'm very, very excited to bring in Kat Stancik. So Kat is, a little fireball. I mean, we've just been connecting lately, and I've been having so much fun. So Kat, I just want to welcome you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you making the time for me and sharing me with your audience.
Cool. And can I just, do you see all the red, gang? Like, I'm loving the red and like the little, that's why I said she's a fireball. Wait till you get to hear her.
Not subtle.
Woot, woot. That's how we do things around here. That is all right. I'm on brand. Okay. So tell us, we literally are like two halves of because you do a lot of the tactical, badass, kick-ass strategy. Disclosure, Kat interviewed me for her podcast, and I'm like, God, I love what you do. I need what you do. And so then, then I brought her here. So maybe some of you need what she does. So tell us what you do.
Badass is a really good start. So basically I'm the lead boss. And what that means is that I work with entrepreneurs who are also parents. And basically, especially given in this current time frame, and, parents can be fur babies. It can be, human babies, alien babies. I don't know, but it's where really I differentiate from that regard, because it's all about time. Like, especially given the current environment, like we didn't have time before, and there wasn't a place and time in our heads where we had less time than what we did. And guess what? So we've got kids staying at home. We've got, people we need to take care of that need our attention and our time. There's, sequestering and quarantining and all this stuff. And really what I focus on is helping people really identify what it is that they need to focus on to make more revenue in their business, so that they can be present in their business, but also present in their own life and in their children's life. So, yeah. So
how though? Like, that's
how. So sure. Why not? Like, Let me tell you that. So how I do that specifically is by helping people generate better, higher quality leads that convert faster. So everyone wants to go from hello to hired, but there's a huge piece in the middle that's missing. And we don't want people to be pitchy Pete, right? We meet that person on LinkedIn all the time.
All the time, yes.
All the time. Like, it causes, what is that called? It PTSC. So PTCD, post-traumatic connection disorder. So basically you connect and the person pitches you right away. And that is not how you do business. And it's not how you scale a business. And it's not how you have a multi-million-dollar business. So I've scaled my business up to multiple six figures, just me. Right. So I don't have complicated technology. I don't have like a million different funnels. I don't have all these, webinars and things like that. I have consistent products and mechanisms that produce results that attract my ideal client and has the conversation started. And that's the key. What most people don't and are afraid of doing is having a real conversation with people and allowing themselves to be the front of their business and to connect with people to show them what kind of results they can help them achieve. So long-winded, but yeah.
No, that's cool. That's so yummy, because it's so different from what I look at people that do spreadsheets and I think, Jesus, how do you do that? Because it's not in my brilliance. And so when I hear all that, I'm like, oh, that is yummy. We will talk later about getting, and at the end, guys, you're going to get her links and all that kind of stuff. And well, this is the Fiercely Brilliant podcast. A little bit of my branding. The whole thing is, how do you show up being, you call yourself the lead boss. is there a story behind that? Were you just like, badass from birth? Were you, born super confident? Like, how did you get to this place where multiple six-figure business, well-known in the industry? How'd you get there?
Yeah, so it was all really easy and handed to me on a silver platter.
I knew it.
Right? Like I'm just that lucky person. No, it was a struggle. And struggle is different things for different people. So yeah, I have the typical, I was picked on in grade school, high school, something like I ate lunch in the bathroom by myself. I had no friends. I had 5 sisters. I was picked on. Like there's all the trauma, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Through all that, and it doesn't matter what your trauma is because everyone has it, from whether it's a little T or a big T, it doesn't matter. Everyone gets triggered. Here's the thing. I innately knew from birth, I will say, that I was meant for something bigger, that I knew that there was more to life than what was being handed to me. So for me to have that change in my path, because I had a certain path laid out in front of me, like I was a victim of circumstances, sure. But I had to make a choice and empower myself and decide and tap into that truth that each and every one of us is born with, and know that I could do something bigger and better than what was available in my sight. I had to go into, beyond and see more for myself. And it was basically dependent on me. No one else was saying, hey, you're meant for more. Hey, you can do more, or anything like that. I had to find that inner truth and believe it and trust myself and stand in that power, despite all of the things that I was too much, I was not enough, right? Like those two things constantly being reinforced and being willing to do the inner work. And I think everything for me changed when I started doing more of the inner work. And honestly, like that saying, business is 80% mindset and 20% skill set. I'd even venture to say it's 90% mindset, 10% skill set, because and I do this with my clients all the time, which is why I love the coaching consulting hybrid model that I've kind of created for myself, is sometimes you need to be told what to do. And sometimes you need to work through it. And most of the times you don't really need to learn a new skill set. You just need to get better at what you're already intrinsically, naturally good at, and own that power. And that thing that you're good at is probably what you got picked on in high school, right? Like that too muchness is exactly what people want right now.
Let's just circle back, because when I do any speaking presentation, I will say, raise your hand if you've ever been told you're too much, too intense. I mean, all of us, we all have that wound. But it's interesting, Kat, because a lot of people might have had that like inner, like there's more. They can't pull themselves out of the trauma. So can you like deconstruct that a little bit, like slow it down? Because I know there was probably nobody in your environment really, like you say, nurturing and fueling your dreams, and your path should have been, whatever this difference.
Right.
So do you remember, like, how did you the fork in the road? How did you do that? And you probably got blowback.
Yeah.
So can you go there?
I think it had to do with looking for evidence. Okay. So a lot of times, people are in a place of, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
But really you have, when I see it, I'll believe it kind of situation, whatever. And I had to find a way to believe it and then see it. And conceptually you get it, right? But so how do you go from I'll believe it and see it? Because that's the harder thing. And how I did that was start looking for evidence where other people were successful, whether they were better off than me or not, but just seeing the fact that there was something that I wanted and someone else had achieved it meant that I therefore was able to achieve it as well.
Woo! Mic drop. Right. Really nice. Well, I think what happens is we get we have the seed, the little thing, the calling, or the design, the divine design.
Yes.
And if it's not nourished in us, it's easy to go, oh, this is crazy, I shouldn't. So what do you tell people that, because while you do all the skill set stuff, you have a pretty good mindset. I mean, from mama mindset, you got it going here, right? So
you should have seen me yesterday.
You should have said me yesterday. Right? So what do you tell people that they come to you and like, how do you cultivate that seed? I love the look for evidence, but sometimes it's like, but the gap could be this big, right? So how do you also help them cultivate it on the inside?
So it's about having the conversation with the person where they're at. So a lot of people are like, and this is what happens is with bro marketers, which is I'm anti-bro marketing, right? I don't like the aggressive sales strategies and tactics and the bait and switch and the over promising, under delivering BS, right?
Yes.
So, but there is something to be said about what they're doing. So what they're doing is they're talking to your ego, right? They're talking to that black and white voice in your head, because we all have different voices. Right. That wants this thing, and the only way to do it is to do these grandiose, kind of gestures and investments and stuff like that. So what do? I talk to you where you're at. So ego understands black and white. So I talk about money because that's what ego is looking for. And then once we have that conversation of what is that you want to make, how much money you want to do, let's break it out with the facts and figures. Let's go like all up into that, cerebral space or whatever. And then let's get you connected to your heart. Because once I have that conversation and ego is fed, then I can get you talking about what you desire. Ooh. And getting into that space of empowerment and saying, okay, great. I have a plan. How is your heart going to help you get into that action and get into that implementation phase of things? Because that's the piece that's missing. Ego can be satisfied with consuming information, but your heart and your soul will not be satisfied unless you implement and actually see the fruits of your labor.
That's interesting.
So
that's a really nice
looking at it and facing the mirror and saying, let's have a conversation about what's really going on. And, part of it too with my clients is, and this is with marketing, is what are you communicating as what's possible? Like talk about the thing that they're afraid of. And show them how that thing is that's not what they actually, so, let's take the current environment, the pandemic, right? People are like, no one's buying, right? That was the first thing. Like,
absolutely. You shouldn't be selling. This is terrible. Right. Yeah.
Right. You should be. But a lot of people hold back. It's wrong, especially at the beginning. Like, were there people that were bailing on their contract? Sure. Because they were acting out of fear. Wait a month and they were coming back. Right. So, I didn't have any of that happen. I've actually doubled my business since last year as of July 1st.
That's crazy. Good for you.
Like, and not really change. Like, I'm not putting Facebook ads out. I'm not doing, I wasn't able to go out and speak. That was it. That was something that was returning nicely for me. I had to adapt. Right. And that's part of what you have to look at in life is, one of my favorite sayings is just because the tide's out doesn't mean there's less water in the ocean. So you've got people who are selling something and they're standing in the same place with their fishing pole and their bait, and they're throwing their bait into the sand, and they're wondering why they're not catching anything. So it's not that your throw or your bait or your fishing pole needs to be changed, right? Your process, your mechanism for delivering results, but it's that you need to change how you're talking about things, what you're selling right now. And so people are still buying, but they're not buying from you, and you're making that personal. It's not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not selling them what they want, they're not going to buy it. So example, you go into the grocery store and you want ice cream. Do you think Heinz is offended when you don't pick up the mustard and the ketchup?
No, they don't give two craps about my choice.
It's business, not personal. But what they do is they continue to market. They continue to be present so that when you go and buy ketchup and mustard because you've decided that's what you want, though ketchup is gross. It's just a nasty condiment. All about mustard, which is odd since I'm all red.
The red, right?
Right. You gotta have balance in life. But then you are prepared to buy from them because they've been consistent.
Absolutely.
They have a product that's been, produced, and you can have an expectation. And that's what people need to do in business. And that's what the empowerment they need to step in when it comes to being serious about who you are and what you're doing.
So what I see sometimes, I use the word collapse, right? So you know what you're supposed to do, you have objectives, you're working towards a goal, and you don't see the results fast enough, or you're not getting the results you desire. It's easy to, then that's when what I always say is your brain starts like, who do you think you are? See, it's blah, 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 blah. So how do you work with people in the absence of results? How do you keep them on track? Because that's probably where a lot of people could use some help.
So I always talk about the money is beyond the resistance. So there's things, we all have upper limits, right? So this is this thing where you can achieve a certain level of success and then you start shrinking back.
Right.
And so what is hitting, what if you made your upper limit your ceiling, you made your floor, right? So looking at what are the actions. See, what happens a lot of times is people are saying they're doing all this stuff and they're taking all this action and not seeing the results. And what I do is I come in and I go, yeah, that's great. You spent 20 hours working on your website. That's not going to generate leads for you. That's not going to get more sales conversations. Right. Now, can it? Yes. It all depends on where you are in business. Now, if you're looking to make that money, because there's money now and money later.
Okay.
Both of them are strategies that need to be, so it's short-term and long-term, right? Both of them are strategies that need to be implemented and moved. But a lot of times people get caught up in the money later because there's so much that needs to be done in order to allow that to happen. Example, setting up a funnel, setting up a webinar system, whatever. Right. Not against those strategies at all. I do them all the time. I have them for my business. I help my clients with them as well. But it depends on where they are as it relates to their business assets and where they are, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's that pyramid. If you don't have your food, shelter, and, warmth, covered, you can't evolve to the next step. And so you're going to be, in a cycle of self-sabotage, doing things that are going to keep you busy. So there are simple strategies at every single level of business. And here's the fun part. Every strategy at the level below you can use. So as you graduate and evolve to the next stage, you keep stacking strategies to keep filling the pipeline and keep closing people. But you can't do a strategy for a $500 million business when you're only earning $50,000. It doesn't make sense because you don't have the business assets. But those bro marketers, right? They're selling that idea.
Will lie to you, right?
Right.
You know what I love though is what I find is as you call money later. Those are the places you cannot show up as fully. Because what I'm hearing from you is the money now is probably the resistance of, but I don't want to pick up the phone. I don't want to reach out to that lead. Like you have to be more present. Yes. And so how do you bust that for people? Because I just was on the phone with a lady today and I'm like, you need to start doing some teaching. Oh, I'm so afraid of video. Okay, well, you know what I mean? So how do you get people in action? Because it's really easy to do technical researchy things.
I encourage them to fail. I say these things, but it's all practice. Like these, whoever you're looking at that's successful, whether it's, Michelle Obama, Oprah, or Ivanka Trump, whatever, right? Like, I don't care. I'm going to judge a little bit, but whatever. You do you, right? Like whoever it is that you're looking at, they had to master a skill set. And the problem is that people want to master the skill set without putting in the work. Like Michael Jordan is one of my favorite examples. Amazing human being, highly skilled. He was born with a certain skill set. I'm not going to deny that, but he didn't rest on his laurels. He wasn't like, hey, I'm good, so I'm good, right? I'm not going to practice. He practiced even when he was the best, because it was all about creating that consistency in his game. He needed to make sure that every time he took that shot, it was going to go in, 95% of the time or whatever it was. And he took that shot from different angles. He took that shot, back, someone in front, two people in front, guarding on the floor, whatever it was, right? He anticipated what it was and he practiced it. And I'm not going to be shocked if you're saying I'm not getting results and you're hiding.
There we go.
Like it's really about having that blunt conversation and being like, yeah, it sucks. It's scary. You're going to hear no, but better to hear no than not an answer at all, because I can change a no into a yes, but I want the answer. I need to get to that answer, and being unattached. And this is where all the mindset comes into, of people don't understand what a real sales call is. And it doesn't count if both people don't know it's a sales call. But to get to that next step is, getting connected to that future vision, understanding, what is it that you're trying to achieve, but so it's all the do be have, right? So in order to have, you need to be a certain way. In order to be a certain way, you need to do a certain thing, but you can't go and skip the steps. So what do you need to do to be that successful person, to have the business that you want?
Absolutely. I love that. I love, I think there's the bro marketers, and then there's also the feminine, the just waiting on the Lord,
Okay. So here I love saying my genitalia doesn't need to make a decision in my business. So whether you're swinging with the bros or you're divine feminine,
your pussy's not telling you to.
I wasn't going to say it, but my vagina and my dick don't need to make a decision in my business, right? Let's keep it above the waist.
Yes, yes.
But like, it is a heart-mind connection.
Yeah.
It is spiritual. You're creating a life for yourself and an experience that you want to have. And the reason that I work with the people that I work with is because when they do more good, that's my way of putting out love into the world, right? That's my ripple effect. But it really comes down to, when you're stuck, stop. Take in and say, what is it that I'm focusing on? Is it keeping me? So I was telling someone today, you can be in movement or you can create momentum. So doing your website, doing stuff keeps you busy, right? You're in movement. It feels productive,
right?
You're busy, but you're not actually making forward progress. And how does forward progress, demonstrate itself? By practicing the skill sets that are key and core to any business. If you think that Tony Robbins doesn't get on the phone call to close $1 million client because that's where he's charging, you're mistaken. He gets on the phone. He got on the phone. He trained his people how to get on the phone. How did he train his people? He had to master that skill set himself.
Right.
So saying, hey, I just want to hire someone to do sales for me, I'm telling you right now, you're going to fail because you don't have the words.
Right. We need to convert people. You need to be able to do it yourself. And I'll, in transparency, I've done the pendulum. I was all about go, 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 go. And then I went to the just waiting. And there was a time when I needed to wait, but now I'm like, I need to be more in action, so that's why I'm so drawn to your work. And so I think we can, again, it's wherever our resistance is, we're going to be drawn to that. So if the bro marketers are selling you the quick fix, the 7-figure blueprint, and you just have to plug and play.
Right.
If you're afraid of picking up the phone, that's going to be seductive. Or if you're just burned out and you just don't want to do it, so it's the balance and the blend. Right. And one doesn't trump the other. I love how they go to work together.
And we all experience this. There was, and I think part of it too is really connecting to that desired result, right? So did you want to really learn how to tie your shoes? Probably not. You did it. Did you want to really learn how to swim? Probably not. You probably screamed and being like, I'm going to drown. Oh my God, my parents hate me. Right. Did you want to learn how to ride a bike? You fell, but you kept doing it because you were intrinsically connected to
that thing that
results.
Pushes you forward. Right.
And so what happens as adults is we have so much more chatter happening in our brains that is willing to talk us out of it. And so getting connected to that desired result helps keep the momentum moving forward so that you can create that momentum instead of creating movement. And it really comes down to how connected are you to what you want to achieve. So some people, it's the upper limit happens, especially when you're making a lot of money. They're like, well, I can't, I don't know why I'm not making more money. I'm making all this money, but I don't know. And what it is they haven't figured out how to spend that money. What is that money going to do for them? Right. Are they, and I had this with a client. She was like, well, I'm already able to buy myself first class tickets on airplanes. I mean, I feel like if I make more money, I'm just being greedy. Ooh. Even though she wanted to make more money. Right, and I said, well, what would that money look like? She's like, well, it would be nice to fly on a private jet from time to time because she's germaphobe or whatever her reasons were. Right. Yeah. But that was her reason. And so that got her into action of connecting to what would my life look like and not being guilty of feeling like she was being greedy, but like, okay, cool. The money is a reflection of the impact. And that's all happens through conversation in terms of what's your motivator, which also aligns to what are your strengths? Because you talked about that person that doesn't want to get on a phone call. That's fine. I had a client make $130,000 in 90 days by not getting on the phone because she didn't want to get on the phone. But she was able to close over Messenger.
Yeah. Right.
So it's how do we find that strength? Where is that resistance? Where's that roadblock that is absolutely preventing you from moving forward? And what's the bypass? How do we get around it? There's always a solution. But you have to be able to look at it differently and leverage your strengths instead of trying to improve those weaknesses because
that won't never works. Never works.
Yeah.
So, wow, little rockin' badass you. Where can people find you? And is there anything you want to offer my folks?
Yeah. So I do have so in 2 weeks, so I'm not sure when this is going live, but I do have a 5-day revenue reboot that I'm doing. So it's a 5-day series where people can start generating even more money in their business. And so they can get access to that at actionincubator.com/5 day, and get access to that 5-day revenue reboot. And it's all about how to go from overlooked to fully booked.
Nice. And probably on Facebook, LinkedIn, right? You're there.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. My Facebook group is Lead Boss. Try to make it simple. But all of my content really focuses on that empowerment of looking at how to generate those leads, how to have those sales conversations, how to get people ready to buy, overcoming objections, like all the stuff, and leveraging your strengths and strategies that really help create that, very strong foundation to continue to scale, because these strategies actually scale with your business. And it's stuff that worked back when, the first businesses were open. It happens through conversation and building relationships.
I love it. And what they don't know about you is that you are a mom of 3 kids, right?
Yes.
Little ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so mad respect to you, because, when we started this call, she's like, oh, my daughter's crib is right over there. So you're doing a multi-6-figure business with 3 kids at home.
I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and 1-year-old. Yeah. And that was and so here, full transparency in this one, I was supposed to start my challenge next week. And on Monday, it was like, there were certain things that weren't ready. Yeah. Like energetically, I was like stressed because so we have a full-time nanny. Mm-hmm. Because of school and how everything has happened. I'm a shit teacher. Like, I will admit it. I am horrible teaching my 6-year-old. Like, if she was like 15 or 16, like, I think I could like totally do that better. But like teaching her how to read, like, I can sit on the couch with her and like, we can read books together, no problem. But like, when I'm trying to run my business and being present with my child during work hours was difficult. And I had to admit my limitations. So I hired someone additionally to come in 4 hours a day to work with her on catching up, because what they provided in the school system here during the pandemic, crisis was in just completely below, what I would expect. Yeah. So they're presenting a 9 to 3 p.m. school option online, and that's just not going to work.
Wow. That's 6-year-old. Oh my God.
Online, guys. Like, she can barely sit. I mean, if I'm putting on, Aladdin, she'll pay attention for 2 hours, but she's not going to pay attention otherwise. So I had to figure out an alternative. An alternative meant, someone coming in and getting a homeschool, system in place and stuff. And that meant more money. But when I know that my child is being taken care of and I can be present in my business, then I make more money. It's just intrinsic. It's just like I was telling someone the other day, like, every time my client talks to me, they make more money. And the reason is my energy, my excitement transitions into that person and they get into action. Yeah. Because you have enough. You have enough information. There's no more content you need to consume. You need to go and implement.
Love that. That is, I was going to say, last words of wisdom.
Yep. Right there.
Right there. Oh, you are such a delight. Oh my God. You inspire me, darling. It's really fun to connect with you. And I know our listeners are going just to really like scoop this up. Now, if I don't think it's going to air in 2 weeks. So if it airs after your challenge, can they still get it? Is there something else?
Yeah, I probably will. I could hook them up with the replays on the back end, just for your audience. Not going to do that for anyone else, but for sure, drop me a line, right, Kat Stancik, and be like, I want to get access to that, because I've run this version of this challenge before, and people are always making money. So
that's cool. Yay. Well, you're just a blessing. I love hanging out with you. It's been great to know you. And do us a favor. If you liked this episode, leave a review.
Yes.
All right. Peace and blessings. Much love. Bye. Hey, I really appreciate you listening to that last episode. And I would love to get to know you a little bit more and to get to connect with you on a deeper level. And here's what I suggest. I've got a Facebook group that corresponds with the content of these podcasts. It's called Fiercely Brilliant Women in Business with Therese Skelly. So if you just search Facebook, Fiercely Brilliant with Therese Skelly, you'll find the group. It's a really nice group. It's a small group, and I'm super active in it. So each week we have a lot of supportive conversations. I share a lot of resources. I do a lot of coaching on the spot, and I would love to have you join me there. So if you like the vibe of this podcast and you want to hang out with a pretty darn cool community of women, join us at Fiercely Brilliant on Facebook with Therese Skelly. Alrighty, peace and blessings, and I hope to see you in the group. Bye now.